That's Beth Tweddle there. Well, there's been a lot of praise for Simone about having the bravery to speak out. Well, we can now speak to Phil Roberts. He's the founder of the widow-based mental health charity JourneyMEN CIC. Good afternoon to you, Phil.
Good afternoon, Paul. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for you for coming on. It seems unprecedented for an athlete to step away from not just any competition, but an Olympic final. What was your reaction when you saw her speak?
Well, I woke up to this morning on BBC TV. So much so, I had to rewind the sky to take a screenshot of her statements. And for her to put that out, it was extremely brave. And, really, we should be taking our hats off to it. She's highlighting the place of mental health. And that's at an Olympic level. If people are struggling with their mental health at that level, anyone can struggle with mental health, and they do.
Yeah, I mean, there was such an element of incredible confidence about doing it, but it must have taken, at that level, it must have taken an incredible amount of courage.
Yes, once again, we've just heard Beth talking about it there, and you know what? This is just highlighting the mental health. When you read a statement, she doesn't want to get hurt, and who wants to see another athlete get hurt? Mental health it's invisible. You can't see it. When we were all watching the football a few weeks ago, and we seen that horrible thing what happened to Christian Eriksen, the whole world stopped and took note of that because that was a physical thing, and he collapsed on the pitch. This is Simone talking about. She didn't want that to happen to her. I don't know much about gymnastics. I can put my back out picking my pen off the floor these days, but what they put through their bodies through, it's absolutely unreal. And the more I've read about it today, at the last Tokyo Games in '88, there was a gymnast there, Julius Gomez, who unfortunately broke a neck and was paralyzed and died 3 years later. And, this is a young lady who's standing up, not for her mental health, for her rights as well. If she wasn't right at that time, she had the right to stand up and tell everyone. And the easy thing for her to say, she could have gone, I've pulled a muscle or I've hurt my back, and did it and made the statement that way. But she's put this really powerful and emotive statement out saying that she is struggling with mental health, and that's a big thing, and we should be, applauding her for that.
Now, Phil, the overwhelming majority of people are not Olympic gymnasts or Olympic competitors, full stop. But how important is it for someone who is struggling with their mental health to actually speak to somebody about it?
It's extremely important, and that could be. We've just gone through a pandemic where the whole country was closed down, and where people were feeling isolated. We're coming out of that. JourneyMEN opened right at the beginning of that pandemic, and we've been talking to all of our men all the way through that. We've had 30 men out today in Birkenhead Park walking around, just talking about like the Olympics, talking about the football that's coming on. But we're getting out there, and for us to say, "Are you feeling all right today?" The first time you ask somebody, "Are you going to hurt yourself? Are you going to kill yourself?" It's hard, but men do want to talk. People do want to talk. I want everyone to talk from mental health from a very early age. So much so, we've just sponsored a junior football team, and we're talking to 12, 13-year-olds about mental health now. We want that to start that early on.
Yeah. Now, just looking at this particular situation, there must be so much pressure on young athletes to perform, in whatever sport they're in. But what this shows us, I guess, that not even something as prestigious of an Olympic gold medal is more important than your own mental health, whoever you are.
That's exactly right. She's been working all her life to get to that point where she wants that medal around her neck. And she would have been very, very close. And, for her to take a step back and recognise that her mental health was more important than a gold, silver or bronze medal, it's very powerful for me. And, I don't know much about gymnastics, but you know what? She's a very powerful lady, this lady.
Now, you'll remember this yourself, Phil. You know, the tennis star Naomi Osaka a few months ago also said she had mental health issues. Do you think that the stigma of talking openly about struggling with mental health is actually now starting to be broken down?
It is. There's always going to be a stigma around it, but the more people who are talking about it, and sometimes it does take a high-profile person, a sports person, royalty, or somebody that you look up to and aspire to be. If it touches them, it can touch anyone. They're no better than us because they are, sports people. We're all people and human beings at the end of the day. But the more people who are talking about it, I'm getting that message over. It's more the better for me.
Well, it certainly puts it in the public limelight. But let's focus on an individual. Do you think, and you know a lot about this, Phil? Do you think that when you see high profile people like Naomi Osaka, like Simone Biles speaking out, do you think that actually does encourage and give people the courage to do it themselves?
Yes, I do, and us as human beings, we do like to communicate, but there's certain things that we don't like to talk about. And it's just chipping away at that. I've seen a massive difference over the last few years talking about mental health. And, we're going in the right direction. And with people like Simone and, other people in the limelight talking about it, it is okay not to be okay.
Yeah. Now, you said yourself, Phil, that there is still a little bit of a stigma there. Why do you think the stigma still hangs around over mental health?
Because it's invisible. If I walked out of my office now with a broken leg, everyone would say, "Oh, you're okay. Oh, you're okay, Phil. Do you need any help?" But because if I walked out and I was upset or physically shaken, people would shy away from me because it's the unknown as well. So, for me, physical health and mental health go hand in hand because if you're struggling with your physical health, your mental health takes a knock as well, and vice versa. So, the more we talk about it, if one of my staff members said I'm having a bad day, I'll get them in and talk about it, but try and get to the root of the problem. Sometimes it's a very quick conversation, or we've got an in-house counsellor here. If we need counsel and professional advice, we've got that. But, the system could be better, but it's a lot better than what it was. It needs a major investment from a very high level. We're doing this at a local level, and since we've opened, we've had over 350 men through our door in just over a year, and that's a massive amount.
Well, well done for everything you're doing, Phil. Tell our listeners how they can find out more about your charity, and if anybody needs help and support, how do they get in touch with you?
Yes, please. JourneyMEN are here we are based on the Wirral, but we cover all the Merseyside and beyond and Cheshire. If you are struggling, by all means, give us a ring in the office. It's 01517929159, or find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The website is JourneyMEN CIC. Give us a ring. My staff are on standby, and it's good to talk.
And just finally, Phil, just before you go, and I'm sure you can do this in a nutshell, if somebody is listening now and they know they've got an issue with mental health, what should they do first?
Reach out. There is help out there. You've got the Samaritans, you've got the CWP mental health helpline. If you've got iPhones or Android phones, you've got the Hub of Hope, you've got the Stay Alive app. You can speak to online counsellors via those apps, or see what's if you don't live in the locality of Wirral or Merseyside, Google mental health help in the area. But those apps will work on a GPS. You need to talk, and you need to talk now.
Well, Phil, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
There we go. That's Phil Roberts. He's the founder of the Wirral-based mental health charity JourneyMEN CIC, with some great advice there, and obviously commenting as well on this story that broke overnight about Simone Biles, the US gymnast, who has spoken out very, very confidently and very bravely about her own mental health situation.